On this episode of Three Black Guys with the Mic, Professor Jason Nichols breaks down his appearance on Tucker Carlson, racism, black male masculinity, Donald Trump, and more. All going down on this episode of Three Black Guys with the Mic.
First of all, let me tell you something. Lamont is just full of
Sometimes my mama said, you know, when you don't have nothing nice to say, you should be quiet.
People say that Stephen A. is a coon. You agree with that? Everybody got quiet on that one? Okay. Go ahead.
Rudy Giuliani practices voodoo. So he put a voodoo hex on my girl, Hillary, and that's why she got woozy. And the Secret Service had to prop her up and put her in the van.
But take us to a break, my dude.
It was voodoo, son.
I don't know about that voodoo.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Three Black Guys with a Mic.
Fellas, you ever be in a situation where you shave or you got a good haircut, you feel like you're really looking good, and then you recognize 2-3 days later you got a little irritation around the beard or the back of your neck? Those ingrown hairs will disrupt your sexiness. They can disrupt your swag. Not only do they look unsightly, they can be irritable. Bumpcology is here for you to save you from the unsightly, the unsexy, the swagger jacking bumps. Put a little Bumpcology serum on your face. The natural serum will help to heal that and bring the ingrown hair out. And as it continues to work on your skin, the hair will just fall out. All my life, my parents told me to put a little alcohol on it, put some witch hazel on it, put some Noxema on your face. I never had an answer until now. Bumpcology.com. And right now, Bumpcology is running a special where they are trying to support the domestic violence initiatives. So go to their website, support the women. Also, there's another thing I want to mention. Ladies, there's nothing worse than shaving and getting that wonderful bikini wax or even Brazilian right before vacation and then finding out a day or two later that you have some unsightly ingrown hair bumps. Bumpcology for you too. Bumpcology serum. Go to bumpcology.com. BUMPCOLOGY.com. Yo, Jason, my man.
What's up, brother?
What's happening, man? You on with, obviously, you know my voice. I'm Maynard. There's Spud and Lamont are also on the call.
What's up, man?
What's good?
Yo,
Professor Nichols, how are you, sir?
Man, I'm chilling. I'm doing good. I'm blessed. How you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you
Yo,
so
Professor
very much
Nichols,
for joining us.
Professor Nichols said, yo, I'm chilling. Wouldn't you like to take one of his classes?
That's what's up.
Well, I didn't say you'd be chilling if you were in my class.
Oh, well.
So, Professor Nichols, what classes do you teach?
So I teach, of course, an intro to African American Studies course. I teach a course on Black masculinity and art. And I teach a course on Black and Latino relations. I
mean, we could have a whole hour conversation on blacks and masculinity by itself.
Uh-oh. I'm about to say, because you know we got to hit him with the Young Thug conversation. We got to give him that.
I mean, not just that, even the Young Jock conversation. That's
got to get him with Young Jock.
But Lamont, who's your man? Who's your rapper dude with the gun in his mouth and the white women and?
He was, you know what? I saw that, and I saw it on World Star. It was some no-name rapper that, that I think was out here trolling, and he got people to buy in to his, what I like to call foolishness, you know what I'm saying, of displaying that kind of, what we talked about, emasculation of a dude, because he said he was married to the game, and he had on a wedding dress, bro, and he had...
Too much.
And, he was putting guns in women's mouths. I was like, what is this guy?
But let me ask you this. I mean, I'm sorry to just kind of...
you're talking about.
So
that dude is white. You're talking about the white dude, right?
No. It's a brother. It's a young black man who, as Lamont said, he's wearing a wedding dress. There were 3 white women in his video. And and a couple of other brothers in the video. And there were all kinds of shenanigans occurring, like... The dude put the gun in his mouth. He said he's married to the game, and he's wearing a white wedding dress. You know what I'm saying?
Is that NBA YoungBoy? Lamont?
Something like that.
Oh, I
It's
don't know.
it's just too much. It's
I
just,
don't
But let
think
me
so.
so Professor Nichols, let me ask you. I'm sorry, this is so not what you called to talk to us about, but in regards to blacks and masculinity, is it something in Europe? What do you teach? Is it right or is it wrong? Especially for millennials, because you do have millennials who are leaning more towards, being, I guess, not identifying with a gender. What's the Smith's boy name? Jalen Smith. I saw Sam, Smith. Jaden Smith, I'm sorry. I saw Sam Smith today come out and talk about, even though he's not black, but, talk about, he can go both ways. He can identify as a woman as well. So in regards to that, I mean, is it something about the newer generation that they are missing, or is it something that they are embracing?
I think one of the things, well, for me, I think it's something that they're embracing is that I think it's always good when we challenge identities. You know what I mean? I think sometimes you have to push against these constructs that we've had for so long. I was just doing a little interview earlier, and, someone was talking about, well, all these black men have been emasculated and they're wearing dresses. And I was like, well, what do you think we wore in Africa? You know what I mean? Like, these are all constructions that people have created. I was in the Middle East. Every man was wearing a dress, and it had nothing to do with their sexuality. These are just constructions that people have created that said, okay, men wear pants, women wear dresses. Men act like this, women act like that. I think, it's good to push against that and even push against, the construction of what it is to be a man and what it is to be a woman, because in some ways these constructions actually hurt us. So I really don't have a problem with it. I think it's a good thing, actually.
well, let's try to back it up and actually talk about what it is to be a black man in the lens of the true topic. So a lot of people may or may not know this, but Professor Nichols, who is a professor at University of Maryland in the African American Studies department, I guess is that accurate? Was on Fox News, and you were on Tucker Carlson's show. And while you were on Tucker Carlson and having that debate with him, and we don't know exactly what time this phone call occurred, a lovely young woman from America somewhere left you a voicemail.
This message is for Jason Nichols. I've been listening to him on Fox. This fucking nigga, you niggas are not going to be satisfied until you change every fucking piece of shit holiday to nigga day. Okay, you can have it. Let's change Martin Luther King, nigga day. Christmas, nigga day. Columbus, nigga day. He's talking about Columbus killing 200,000 people. Well, that's the fucking camel niggas. They got the nigga blood in them. The terrorists, the fucking Syrian Muslim piece of shit, ISIS nigga terrorists. Well, don't you give a shit about them? You're unbelievable. You people, you niggas are unbelievable. I mean, it's just, you blame everybody else for your demise. And you know what? You love to get a bleeding heart because that's how you survive, by playing the fucking victim. You people cannot live in a civilized society because you're fucking primates and you're uncivilized. 50% of the murders over 50% of the murders in this country are committed by fucking niggas, and there's only 15% of you people?
That verbal assault upon you lasted. She couldn't get enough because when the voicemail hung up, she called back and left another 4 minutes. And
yes, she did.
That's an assault on that is, kind of gets back to where we were, actually, assault on black manhood.
So let me back up one more step, Maynard. I'm sorry. So let's go back. So what in your opinion, Professor Nichols, made her spark that from the conversation between you and Tucker Carlson?
So what made, say again,
what do you think? What was said on Tucker Carlson between you and Tucker Carlson that made her, or do you think made her actually make that phone call?
Well, I think anytime a person of color goes on one of those networks and doesn't sit there and say what they want people, they want people of color to say, which is that the white man is the greatest, we would be swinging in trees in Africa, if it weren't for white people coming along and saving us, if we don't say, those kinds of ridiculous things, which are absolutely absurd, and we come along and we tell the truth, all of a sudden it sparks anger. And one of the things that I always point out is there's a difference between patriotism and nationalism and ultra-nationalism. And I think one of the things is the patriotic person is somebody who sometimes dissents, somebody who actually thinks about how to progress. But the ultra-nationalist is the person who argues for tradition. This is the way I was taught. This is what I learned. So it's, so it has to be right. And so, I talked about Christopher Columbus, and a lot of people have a real tough reaction to that because they were, the lies their teachers told them that, Christopher Columbus was this great man who did all these great things. So when she saw a black man get up there and criticize what she had learned as being so great, and she had all this hate pent up in her, she felt like, and again, this is part of this generation. You want to talk about this kind of post-millennial thing is everybody thinks they have access to everybody, so they'll tweet you, they'll email you, they'll call you. So she was like, this N-word needs to hear what I have to say, so she called me, and when she wasn't finished, she was like, no, you still have to hear more of what I have to say. And I think part of that is, since you're connecting it to black masculinity, is trying to, subject me to something. Like, no, I'm not finished. It's almost like when your parents are talking and you're about to walk upstairs and they're like, boy, get your behind back here. I'm not done. So she felt like she could sit there and sun me and tell me everything that she had on her mind because as a black man, I was beneath her.
So Professor, let me ask you a question, because this is something that we talk about a lot on this podcast, and the other 2/3 of the black guys here, they kind of don't agree with me, but I want your take on, I have a saying that some people believe that their ice is colder than our
people,
ice.
it's white people.
Well, wait, I was trying to tiptoe into it now. Just hold on, give me a minute now. Give me a minute.
This is the part of the show when things always go off the rails.
Just give me a minute. So, I mean, and I'm listening to you, and if I could just give you a quick little, something that happened to me just the other day. I was on a plane, and there was a woman who was of a Caucasian persuasion, was having an issue with people moving their bags out of the overhead bin. And she rang her bell to the attendant really quickly, and she said, "These people aren't listening to me. Why won't they move their bags?" And I said to myself, this woman really thinks that her ice is colder than mine. Sit your butt down and let's go. And it sounds like to me that this lady that decided to call you at your place of employment felt that her ice was colder than yours. And you two have the same refrigerator. Am I right?
Right. No, absolutely. I think that's a good metaphor. I never thought of that. So
I'm sorry. We just need to make sure that I just have been affirmed by a professor from the University of Maryland. So I need these other two black guys that are so quiet on this podcast right now just to hear that we had an educated black man come on here and says, Lamont, you're right. Maynard, Spud.
Yeah.
Lamont, I'm a professor. I'll say you're wrong. But actually, you do make a good point this evening with that, Lamont. I'll say this: this was verbal terrorism, and there's a lot. And I don't know, Professor Nichols, if you unpack this, but I like so, guys. Which you don't know, I saw this. I called him, and when I reached him in his office. And he picked up the phone, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I speak with Professor Nichols." He was like, "Who's this?" he had his guard up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is man." And I had previously emailed him, so he was like, "Oh right, all right, yo, man, my bad. I'm on, I'm on guard." And there's some PTSD wrapped up in that. But there's some things in it that I started to think about. What she did is she said, I'm going to call you. First of all, you can't be a man anymore. You have to be, an N-word. And then you can't
Right.
be proud that you have a degree because you only got all these things through some government programs that I'm paying for. You are only living because I've given you. But then the thing that really kind of struck me as I started to think about it, she basically called you at work, and you may not know the day or the hour that she can decide to come up to your job, or that anybody she's seen your face, she knows your name. You don't, when somebody calls you at work and leaves you that kind of verbal terrorism, you got to think like, yo, am I, not that you
Right.
necessarily have to be afraid of this woman, and she sounded, a little bit older, and maybe from, she had an accent that kind of would lend to be like Boston, New York, or what have you. So maybe you don't really have to be that concerned. But when somebody calls you at your job, part of what they're saying is, I know where you are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I mean, I thought about that, and not only that, all the emails that I get and a lot of other backlash that I get, you in the back of your mind, you're like, what more information can they find? Is it possible to find out where I live, where my kids stay? You know what I'm saying? So, of course, a lot of that goes through the back of your mind. And like you said, I wasn't so much worried about her as an individual, but, she wasn't the only phone call. She's just the one that I recorded. That's the other thing that people don't realize is, I got just, as bad or perhaps even worse from other people. I just happened to record her, and particularly because she was, a probation officer and held certain positions of power that she put out there. Not because hers was any more viral than any of the other ones that I got. So, you definitely have to wonder about that. And it is a form of terrorism. It is meant to silence us. So it's meant to rattle you and shake you up. And the thing is, we got to remember, I was on Tucker Carlson. I got the voicemail the next morning. I was on Tucker Carlson at, 8 p.m.
8 o'clock.
So that voicemail came in at about 11 or 12 at night. This was so important that she needed to leave me a voicemail when she knew I wasn't in the office or anything like that. She wanted to have an extended opportunity to vent.
The sad part about it is, the sad part about it, Professor Nichols, is that it wasn't just against you as a black man, right? I mean, it was, anybody who was not white, she was going after. I mean, from Arabs to, calling them sand niggas. I mean, anybody who wasn't white, it was against her. In your opinion, and this is one of the other things that we have a conversation about on this podcast is has the level of confidence, I guess, elevated since the president has been in office? Is this one of those things where now people like this caller, Richard Spencer, I heard General Jerry Boykin on. He was on a conservative show, and he was talking bad about Maxine Waters and Frederica Wilson, and it is in the KKK and David Duke. Since President Trump has been in office, do these people have a more confidence to be able to speak out this way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's brought them all out. And the people that harbor these feelings who knew that it wasn't PC to say it in public are absolutely going out and saying it in public now. So it's not something that people feel that they have to hide. It is, I would say, at least a large minority of the United States that is coming out and saying, either, you have these people that say these kinds of things and they've always felt them. So I don't think that, I think the way you've stated it is correct, and that is that they're emboldened. It's not that they're, that they're new or they've received some sort of new messages from the president that they didn't already hear. It's just the fact that they're coming out from everywhere, and we're realizing, again, like you said, that woman, she's from, somewhere up north. So It's not a Southern phenomenon. It's not some backwoods bubble that, that everybody thinks it is. That it's the person who lives next to you in New Jersey or New York or Philadelphia. It's, it's everywhere, and they feel bolder now. They feel empowered. Now they have their guy in the White House.
Has the school said anything? I'm sorry, man. Has the school said anything about this, call? Have they given you extra security? Are they doing anything about it in regards to, speaking out to, I don't know, the, student unions or anybody who feels this way? I mean, has you gotten any protection from the school?
So not protection, and I don't feel threatened in that way. I got a whole, like I said, I get all kinds of emails, go back to Africa and all this, your N-word, go back, swing on trees or whatever they say. But I haven't gotten any direct threats, I wish you were dead or something like that. So, I haven't gotten any of that. The police are aware of it. They're aware of the threats I get, and the university has reached out in support and saying that they're not, that they reject what this woman said, and that they support me. But as far as, I'm not rolling it, it's not like I got the hip hop cops following me.
Let me ask
I'm not 50% with the off-duty cops.
Right, in the bulletproof vest, you ain't got to walk around like that with the bulletproof vest on.
Right.
You ain't got to have the Young Dolph bulletproof windows. Let me ask this: what's the relationship between you and Tucker Carlson? Because when I see Tucker Carlson, I always feel like when he brings on African Americans, this is no slight to you. This is just my opinion. I feel like he always tries to bring, and Sean Hannity does the same thing. They always try to bring on people to discredit them and try to beat them up and try to give them a lesson and try to belittle them. And I see that with most of the African Americans that he brings on. Do you think that that's true? And what's the relationship between you and Tucker Carlson? Or with Fox, I should say.
No, I absolutely think that that's true. That's what he tries to do. And like I said, as far as my personal relationship to Tucker Carlson, I mean, I obviously don't know the guy well, but, when we've spoken, I mean, he's a relatively nice guy, and I think he's a smart guy, and I really don't believe he believes half of what he says. I think he's playing a character on TV.
Right? Isn't that his appeal? That's his whole thing. He's a smart, nice guy that everybody would like. Oh yeah, he's a nice enough guy. He wears nice suits and his little bow ties. He's harmless.
He does that, but he also, to me, I always say he looks like the bad guy in an '80s movie. You ever watch like the Karate Kid, or like the Greasers or whatever that movie was, The Outsiders. Where you had the socials. And then, they have the wooden tennis rackets and the sweater tied around their waist.
Stay going, boy.
I think Tucker is, he tries to trip people up. And one of the things that I think people get tripped up on, and he does that to a lot of African Americans, of course, to discredit them, is that they come in angry. They come in for a firefight. Right. I don't do that. And if you look at our second debate, we've debated 3 times. I mean, I think he pretty much acknowledged that I won. He's like, you got me. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't argue. And honestly, also because I don't think he truly believes some of what he says. I believe he's a regular mainline conservative. But he turned into... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I see Tucker as kind of like, we always kind of have these conversations about conservatives and liberals, and the liberals are the elites. But Tucker is like the conservatives elite. Like he, again, like you said, he's the guy with the wooden tennis racket and the sweater tied around his waist. And you see him, like when in Trading Places, when Dan Aykroyd was, going up to the to see Miffy, Biffy, and Buffy or whoever at the country club. Like, that's Tucker. That's the type of conservative he is.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that is pretty accurate, I think. I mean, Tucker is, he's, I don't know that liberals are any more, that preppy type than conservatives. But what I will say is, Tucker is, he plays off kind of the like he is an intellectual, but at the same time, it's kind of a frat boy. Is what you get from him. If you ever, you went to a PWI and you do like the white frat kids, that's
Right.
Tucker Carlson. And that's really who he is in real life. Like, he walks around like in sneakers and wrinkled pants, you know what I mean? With his blazer on. I know a person who went on his show and said underneath he had on flip flops and pink shorts, under the desk. He's who he is, and he does his thing. But
well, I think that
I think the
Tucker
problem
is he's one of those people where he'll act wherever he is, because it's not like he wasn't on MSNBC before and CNN before. So
Right. True.
it's like,
Right.
oh, you want me to act like a conservative? Oh, sure, I can do that.
Right.
Oh, you want me to be a liberal this week? Oh, fine, okay, no problem.
So Professor, let's yeah, but let's change the direction for a second. I want to ask a question because you said a part of your of what you teach at the University of Maryland is about you said male masculinity, correct?
Yeah. Black masculinity.
Black masculinity. I'm sorry. And we were talking a little bit earlier about this, rapper that I had never heard of, but his name was New Age Jerk Boy, and he was the one again that had the wedding dress. And again, you talked about how maybe it's something that we do differently in this country, and but in other parts of the country it may be dressed like, but I don't know if it's a wedding dress, but it's like they or the big thing that we saw before with Young Thug. So again, do you like how do you feel about that? Because it's very disturbing and it's quite confusing to a young mind. That although, this may end up being their favorite rapper, maybe not this guy, but some other artist that may or may come out in a dress, or they may see like Young Jock or on the internet who's in a dress for whatever reason. And I get the whole thing about all of, entertainers of the past, or the Richard Pryors, the Flip Wilsons and all of those guys. But it just seems like it's on a whole new level now of, feminizing, the African-American male. So like, what's your take on that?
So again, the whole thing with feminizing, like we can talk about Young Thug, who I find to be a fascinating person and a fascinating artist, or even like a Lil B or any of these kinds of guys who I don't find so fascinating. But one of the things, actually I find Lil B very fascinating. I don't like his music. But one of the things that I will say is that I think that it's okay. One of the things we have to get out of this rigid idea of what gender looks like. Now, Young Thug, and from everything that I've heard, Young Thug in the streets is legit. You know what I mean? Like, if he makes, he recently made a death threat against his fiancée, which, black men and violence against women, that's another conversation for another podcast. But I can tell you, Young Thug, from what I hear, his threats are to be taken seriously.
Absolutely, but I want you to clarify what you said, because I'm a little confused, because you said that we have to, and I'm gonna put two words there because you didn't say this, but I'm feeling like that we have to change our perception of what masculinity is. Is that kind of where you were going?
I think masculinity, the idea of what we think is masculine, is damaging to men. It hurts men. Not only does it hurt women, in the many ways that we enact masculinity that hurt women, it also hurts men. So we have this idea in our society. It's called hegemonic masculinity. Now, what that is that
I just want to let you know that Lamont's getting on Google right now to look that up. Just want to let you know.
Yes. I wrote that down. I'm already there.
Right. So hegemonic masculinity is basically just that there is an ideal masculine image, an ideal man. And the ideal man, of course, is physically fit. He's handsome. He's wealthy. Oftentimes he's right. He's got everything going for him. How many men actually fit that mold? And then when they don't fit that mold, they feel as though they are falling short and they try to overcompensate in other ways, like violence, you know, and other things that, you know, are damaging in our communities. So again, and they blame, of course, what happens when you feel like you fall short? You scapegoat other people. So there's a great article, actually, I think it's by Greg Tate, where he writes about the phenomenon of Eminem and the fact that Eminem came from Detroit, where you had all of these white men who had lost all these factory jobs and how they were angry, you know what I mean? Because they felt that people of color and other people were taking the position that they supposedly had. Same thing that's happening with Donald Trump. That's why he speaks for so many white men out there. Yeah, I want to grab him in the P word. You know, screw the feminists. They're the bad guys. Screw the black people and the Latinos and all of them who come over and take jobs that are rightfully mine because I'm entitled to them. They're all taking me farther away from this hegemonic masculine ideal. So again, it harms everybody. You know, so I think playing with gender is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, you're going to see me walking on campus in a dress? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like, that's not me. But
hold on. So you're saying there is a chance.
Yeah, and that's where, listen, and Maynard, and I know we got a guest. I know we have an esteemed guest, but I'm feeling, I hear where he's going, but I'm feeling a little uncomfortable because for me, and everybody's going to laugh, but I remember as a child, you know, because sometimes, you know, people might call this assault now, but if you remember like Good Times, and even if you remember George Jefferson, if it was one thing that those two brothers did, one that came from the ghetto and one was allegedly from the east side, is that a term of endearment or some affection that he gave towards his loved one was a pat on the butt. You remember that? They always he always hit Florida Evans on the behind, and she would giggle and laugh. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's done in an affectionate way. And I say that now because, you know, if you breathe at some women too the wrong way, they'll call that assault. But that's a whole nother conversation.
But that was his wife.
No, I got you. But what I'm saying is,
booty just a second ago.
No, and I'm with you. But here's what I'm saying is that there are just certain small things, and I'm just talking. That's one thing that some of us are taught that are masculine to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Sometimes it's taught for us to be masculine to pay the bill when we go out to dinner because that's the manly thing to do. So it's just some things I'm just cool with, and the dress, I'm too big for it.
But Lamont, to your point, I know you are too big for a dress. So Professor, so you're saying that we should separate fashion from masculinity? Because it seems like we're kind of blurring the lines where when we see a young thug in a dress or a new boy, jerk boy, or whatever his name is, or a young jock or whatever, then we look at that, or we look at Jaden Smith and we say, oh, he's not being masculine because he has on a dress. So should we separate the fashion that they are wearing versus the masculinity?
Oh, sure. I mean, definitely. I mean,
so Maynard, you can no longer judge young jock for wearing a dress.
This is the point.
Rocky was wearing a dress.
This is the point where I just disagree with the guest. I mean, you know, I love
Kanye West
Nichols.
wore a dress. Didn't Kanye West wear a dress?
I love Brother Nichols already. You know, I'm all down with Brother Nichols, but yo, and if a brother is wearing a dress and he's gay and that's his thing, then I get it. That's fine. And the only thing I'm saying, and this has been something that's been an ongoing conversation on this show every so often, is that, you know, it kind of goes back to the Dave Chappelle comment where like everybody was laughing and they were laughing a little bit harder than me. And are these men, you know, how, and so what you guys may not know is that Jason Nichols was once, who were you label mates with? Fat Joe?
Fat Joe, a couple other people. Yeah.
And so Relativity? Relativity?
No, I'm not. I don't. You know. Whoa! I was on Imperial Caroline, like so around when Fat Joe dropped "Make It Rain." I remember I saw the director's cut of "Make It Rain" in the office.
Gotcha. Okay. with Ghazi and those boys over there. I know them very well.
So what happens?
So we gonna get a cipher going on?
Oh yeah,
let's do-
yeah. I told him that he had to bring those. He got to bring them bars, and that I also told him that we a tough crowd. So, but you know, hip hop, and we're a little bit older than you. Hip hop was this thing that was kind of fun, and you know, whether it was some street gritty talk from like in the Message, and it was truth, or Bambaataa and just like beats. Everything was cool, and they had crazy outfits, and it was coming out of the disco in the kind of the psychedelic age, if you will. But we started to dress up, and we took on this one thing. But they wouldn't play us. They wouldn't play no hip hop on the radio. Or Run DMC was you had to. We only could hear that on certain times, right? Chuck said radio won't play me in prime time. Then when we started talking about killing one another, all of a sudden, this rap music is excellent. We should play it on the radio all the time. And and then that ushered in, I think what accompanied, I don't want to blame it on the music, but it would accompany, the violence that was in the music was even more violence in our streets. And maybe I don't know, I don't want to get into the chicken and egg concept, because the violence was always there, but maybe we then gave it a green light by speaking truth to it in records. And then it grew, it mushroomed. And then they said, you know what? Maybe we should just go ahead and put in their music other types of poison. Oh, you sell more dope. Or, oh, you sling more, you sleep with more women, or you do this, or you do that. And the misogyny grew. Oh, you should wear a dress. Are they trying?
And ladies and gentlemen, that's the evolution of hip hop.
Am I paranoid? Are you trying to tell me I'm paranoid?
I'm saying that's I think a specious evolution. But what I will say
he hit me with specious. He hit me with the specious.
Here's what I
Let's look that up too.
When we were young, coming up in hip hop, the streets, the styles came from the bottom up. The streets dictated how we dressed, what we wore, in terms of fashion, how, our style, our slang, and all of that. Now it's coming from the top down bottom. So you have fashion designers who have no connection to the streets, scared to move to the hood until it gets gentrified and all of that. And now they're dictating what hip-hop wears. And so I think, the fashion industry, we can talk about sexuality in the fashion industry and all of that, which I don't have a problem with that. But it's not coming from the ground up. It's coming from the top down, from people who don't have a connection to our culture. So then you have people wearing, dresses and guys walking around in heels. It's not necessarily, I don't have a problem with the fact that it's gender fluid. I have a problem with the fact that it's not hip hop, and it's not coming from the streets. It's not coming from the audience. It's coming from some person that got a fashion degree in Milan and wants to come and they're a stylist for the Migos, and now everybody in the streets is wearing what they said to wear, which is to me upside down and not hip hop. That's my
right. But I'm trying to figure out I haven't seen Justin Timberlake in a dress yet. I mean, is that happening for the Super Bowl or something? They targeting us. But I want to switch up. And let me go back and say for a second, real quick. We also want to make sure that we strongly condemn that message from that woman, and that we stand in support of you. So, we appreciate your voice, and we want you to continue to go on whatever talk shows, and don't be silent, because we need your voice out there. But I want to switch to the Words, Beats, and Life movement, and I want you to kind of explain a little bit about how that came about some 20 years, almost 17 years ago or so, and speak to that.
Yeah. So it started out really as a conference, a hip-hop conference at the University of Maryland. And the executive director, who I think you spoke to today, Maynard, Mozzie, is one of my best friends. And he was like, let's take this off campus as we were graduating. And we started doing some things. He started with his after-school program, and he was like, I want to do this full-time. And I was like, man, you crazy, man. You need health insurance. You need all those things. But he's been able to make the organization grow. One of the things that we do, in addition to teaching courses about hip-hop to the youth in Washington, D.C., is that we have an academic journal that we put out. And I'm the editor-in-chief of that journal. So we not only accept scholarship, we accept art, poems. So we truly try to bring the streets to the university and don't privilege art over scholarship or scholarship over art. We try to put them in conversation with one another. And we've been going strong, like you said, since 2002 as an organization, so about 15 years. And we see no signs of stopping. We've also been traveling overseas. Like I was saying, having gone to the Middle East, I was with Words, Beats, and Life. We're basically hip-hop ambassadors, so we go all over the world. We've been, I haven't gone, I only went to Saudi Arabia, but, we go to Pakistan, Lebanon, Uganda. We're hoping to go to Brazil. I'm definitely trying to be on that trip, and, we can talk about black masculinity in Brazil and all that later, but, we've traveled around the world, spreading the good word about hip hop.
So as we wrap up, and sorry to cut you off, man, you can, end, but as we wrap up in regards to, everything that we talked about, racism, masculinity, I mean, we are constantly fighting, I don't want to say constantly, but we're fighting the right? I mean, as you can tell, there is an issue with, some people in this country when they still have an issue with racism. So, how do we, as Democrats or people who are not on the right, how do we, how do we fight? Or what is the message that we need to spread? Because, it's easy for us to get up in arms and frustrated and all mad, and we're ready to, march and we're ready to protest about a woman who called Professor Nichols and, called him all kind of N-words, and, Tucker Carlson is discrediting them and all the rest of the black folks, blah, 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 What is the fight in your opinion? What do we as black folks or Democrats need to do in order to be able to rise and to continue to fight this fight that we are constantly and still going through?
So I think it's twofold. Number one, I think the easy thing that we have to do is vote. I think that's absolutely one thing that we have to do. I know there are people out there like Colin Kaepernick and others who have said voting is not important. My answer to that always is, or question, or statement, I should say, is if voting were not important, there wouldn't be so many obstacles put in the way of black people voting. So we know that that's something that's happened throughout time. Now it's with incarceration as a way of keeping black people from voting. Now one of the things that this administration is doing is large-scale voter suppression with voter ID and other things. So I think we have to get out to the polls. If we don't have, I think the Trump administration is evidence of that we have to get out there in 2018 and 2020. But even more importantly is for all the time that we spend going out and protesting, and I was saying, I love all the support that I've been getting, but there's one woman who wrote me an email, and in her email she said, I'm really disgusted by what I heard on that voicemail. I wanted to send you support, and I would like to pledge $150 to the charitable cause of your choice. And I was like, oh, heck yeah, I want you to donate here. So my thing is, if you can't donate, there's two things in this world that are valuable, and that's time and money. If you can't give your time to your community by volunteering or tutoring kids in your neighborhood or doing whatever it is to make your community better, if you can't give your time, then give your money to someone who can better your community. One of the things that we've been...
point.
Okay.
So if you would just say like the where, would it be the Dollar in the Dream 17?
So that's one place, but that's not the only thing. I mean, I have a lot of causes that I support with my money. Recently, after I got the voice message, I started to think about the fact that this woman was a probation officer and how all the families that she separated. Although Down in the Dream is good, donate where's we can let. But I thought about that, and I thought about the fact that 1 in 9 African American children has had a parent in prison. All the families that get separated. So one place that I've been donating is a place called Project, I think it's pronounced Avery, AVARY, projectavery.org. And what they do is they mentor and help children whose parents are incarcerated. So we can stop the cycle of incarceration in black communities. So I would say, and that goes along with our values as a black community. Usually is to, it's always been, it takes a village to raise a child. We need to really get our village together and help the children in our community and strengthen our communities so that we can stop some of the things that go on, like, violence and incarceration and underemployment and undereducation. People like us, a bunch of guys who are educated. If we can, we should give our time. If we can't give our time, then we should give, a portion of our money. And I'm a firm believer, that when you donate to charity, you never lose that money. I always seem to get that money back. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just blessed. But, if I give $100 here, all of a sudden I get, a check for $100 for something I did 5 years ago that I forgot about, So I'm a believer in that.
Okay, so speaking of the blessing, we're going to give you the option this evening. The options are these. You can either give us your top 5 MCs of all time, or you can give us some of those bars.
I can give you both, to be honest, but
I'm going to go with the bars then.
Yep. Okay. We got one for bars, Lamont.
I want the top 5. Listen, man, he's at the other U of M, so I want to know what he got in his top 5. So Maynard, you're gonna have to break the tie.
right.
Let's do both. Let's just go ahead and do both. Give us your top 5 real quick. The order doesn't matter. It's just your top 5.
All right. So I'm gonna go with Pun.
Well,
I'm gonna go with Pac. I'm gonna go with Jay. I'm gonna go, and I know this might surprise some people, but I'm gonna go with Ye, my doppelganger, and I'm gonna go. This person, I gotta go with Nas.
Why Pun? I just gotta ask, because you're the second person who said Big Pun, and that's typically not on a top 5. Why Pun? I'm curious.
I just think his wordplay, breath control, all of that was unbelievable, man. I mean, lyrically, I don't think there's too many people who can fool with Pun. You know what I'm saying? Black Thought maybe I could put in there and other people, but
215
Pun
baby.
was just killing it. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like the way his wordplay was amazing, and I think he was. And I know this is controversial, but if you say Pun or Big, I'm going with Pun all day.
Hey, Lamont, with that top 5, Lamont, with that top 5, do you want to hear these bars with that top 5? Let me just go right now. For some old heads, we looking at you kind of skeptical, kind of sideways. So we gonna get these bars. We gonna get these bars.
Let's see now. I'm not saying that.
I don't know of a Big. I don't know about a Big.
I'm just saying the professor, he stabbed us. He stabbed me earlier when he said, y'all didn't get that when I said fat germ relativity.
I ain't that old.
And he was like, I'm not that old. I was like, oh God, I am the old guy now. I mean, but you know what? On the real, we're gonna let him have all of that because I do. Yeah, I do think that, part of his top 5 is valid. He's not wrong, but I do feel like it's just a generational thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I view Pun a little different than I view Big. You know what I'm saying? So because
they're the same generation, basically. I mean,
right? But I'm trying to figure out how you put Ye in there.
Yeah, I can give you Pun.
Yeah, it's good to have a little new school in there. I still, like he said, I don't think Pun had enough. Even though Big only had 2, but Big spread itself around enough, I think, in that time in the industry to make him one of the greatest to ever do this thing. I don't know if Pun is there.
I can give you that we didn't get enough of Pun.
Yes.
I can agree with that. That assessment.
Yes.
Even though, as you said, we didn't get a whole lot of Big either.
Yeah, but we felt like we got a lot of Big because Big, I think, was on a lot of, different remixes. I think we had a lot of different opportunities as a hip hop genre to see and feel. I think nationally Big more than we did Pun. Even though he had
he
records,
was a bigger marketed artist. He was a bigger marketed product.
Yeah. Pun was not popping like that in Little Rock or in Boise, Idaho, but I think Biggie was. You know what I mean? So I think it was just kind of a little different. But we could do this all day. But I'm gonna give him that. I'm just gonna let him get a pass. So because he said what he said about B.I.G.
So Doc, we gonna need to get them bars from you right now, my man. So we ain't gonna give you a beat or nothing, but we need them bars. Okay. So go ahead, bring it.
All right, so you're going to have to forgive me. I'm going to have to read, so I just wrote something today for y'all.
Oh, that's dope.
All right. Well, Jesus, COVID at 2 degrees, expose them like nudity. They're claiming they're getting bread. Their pockets are gluten-free, true indeed. I use every weapon I got to beat you. I'm at a high elevation. My mind is Machu Picchu. I don't just rap, I teach you. Black-sided like Rocky sequel, sharp in my gray suit, looking like I'm Dr. Evil. I rock the people, supercharged, helicopter diesel. Cops making stops illegal, unhosted a Glock and beat you. Suits go from place to place, spitting ill rhymes. I'm on my third party today. Jill Stein, my brother still shines, fine like a chilled wine, calling out niggas like Bill Maher in real time. No, but competition is low grade. I'm an intellectual. Cornell West with a low fade. Okay, I'll keep it there.
Yeah. You got that right there made it for your big pun comment. Your big pun.
Hold on.
That made it for your big pun. That made it for your big pun.
That's 3 Black Guys history right there. We've had a couple of people drop their bars. Right now I'm about to say he's top 5 3 Black Guys bar dropper.
Well, he get a W on that. He gets a dub.
He gets a W on that. You've been to 3 parties today, Jill Stein. You voted him on that.
Professor Dr. Jason Nichols, we want to thank you for coming on the show. Keep your voice out there, brother. We need you leading the charge.
Hey, same to you, brothers. And anytime, give me a call. I'd love to be on the show again.
Definitely, man. We truly appreciate you, man. Thank you so very much.
Peace.
No doubt. All right. Take it easy. Peace.
Oh, he actually had bars.
He had some bars. Yeah. All right, we doing the cactus, ladies and gentlemen. Can we get some cactus going on? Can we get some cactus? Who gets some cactus?
I got a cactus. I got a cactus for y'all. I got a cactus, and y'all not going to like it.
I think it's safe to say that I'm not on the cactus list, and Lamont's not on the cactus list.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I done dodged bullets this week, man.
Yo, and look, and I told you I got a sideline. I got a line producer. I spoke with her last night, and she was like, "Yo, you can't give Lamont the cactus, regardless of how I feel about what he said." So you really got saved, Lamont. You really, you got people out here in your corner, homie. But y'all ain't gonna like this cactus, and I'm gonna tell you right now.
Lamont, you call him and tell him you really wanted to work with them, but you got to get a check back.
Where's he going, dude? Like, come on, man.
Look, listen. Don Trump, is always honorary cactus. Not even want to give John Kelly a little bit of cactus. This situation with LaDavid Johnson and his wife, and the phone call between Don Trump and his wife, definitely brings up a lot of raw emotion, and that poor woman didn't deserve all this extra attention, and she very well could feel like Donald Trump said something that was insensitive. Donald Trump's known for saying things that are insensitive. But I do believe that when he picked up the phone to call this woman, he didn't intend. I don't believe that he had any intention to make this situation for this woman worse. I do believe, as George Will would say, conservative journalist would say, Donald Trump is not really on the first name basis with the English language. And I think what happened is he was just very inarticulate in what he was trying to do. I think he definitely tried to comfort the family, and he just failed at it. You know, we see him fail at even reading teleprompter speeches. So, you know, being off the cuff over the phone doesn't sound like something that he would be necessarily very good at either. I have not really dug in too much on giving cactuses to fellow Democrats. I think Hillary may have got a cactus once. But Frederica Wilson, I feel like you really tried to score some points. I feel like you tried to score some points on D. Trump because you have an axe to grind with him, and many of us as Democrats do. And you heard him say these things, and I'm not suggesting you shouldn't have been on the phone. You should have been there. You're part of that family unit in some way, and you're supposed to be a supporter. But when Donald Trump said what he said, and I'm not, everybody has a version of what he said, and you already know that woman is ailing or hurting, it was probably your job to say to her, you know what, the president, if you believe that he was wrong and he was being a jerk, then you should have said, girl, he's a jerk. We ain't got time to worry about that. Let us just move forward. We got a family to take care of and press on. And I don't think she truly believed it. I think she saw an opportunity. And she was like, this is my shot at getting on the national stage, because the three of us don't know of 3 times that she's been on television before this past week.
I do. She was on the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh, Jesus.
She sure, you know what? She took the girl with all of the kids, right?
Oh,
it's not Portia. The one whose husband in jail,
Phaedra.
right?
Yep, Phaedra.
Yep, Phaedra Park. I remember that hat, and I've seen her on the floor too, Maynard. Because and Maynard, I don't want to stop you in the middle of your cactus, because I was so with you until you turned the corner, because I don't believe either that Donald tried to be insensitive, but Donald is such a dummy.
Right, I believe he's a dummy.
He just don't know how to talk to people, and even in his mind, he thought that he was doing the right thing, even though I believe everything that the Congresswoman said. I believe what the wife said, and what I've learned a long time ago is people's perception is their reality.
Truth.
So you know what? Even though he may not have gave it in a certain way, but if they perceived it in that manner, then they got to run off with that. And I totally disagree with you giving that Congresswoman the cactus.
Well, hold on,
bro.
wait a minute, though. Hold on. I ain't even finished.
That's what I'm saying. Let him finish.
Okay.
Because Lamont, Lamont, I thought long and hard about this, and I thought about you. I said, Lamont's favorite thing to say is that, yo, we're not gonna go out here calling people crackers.
And we're not
gonna go out here and calling people coons and toms and things of that nature. Because Lamont believes, like so many of us believe, that when Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high, that we're supposed to go high.
That's right.
And Francina was supposed to go high. She was supposed to go. I'm sorry.
Frederica.
I was thinking about.
You're so disrespectful to the Congresswoman.
I apologize.
From the great state of Florida.
God, dog.
Can't get an edit.
No edit, sir. No.
Frederica Wilson was supposed to go high, and she was supposed to say, you got a friend that when they ran into some bad times and they about to mess, or y'all out and they get a little lit and they ready to fight, or they ready to argue, and you supposed to just pull them back and say, hey man, you know what, man, let's not even waste no energy on that. She ran to television to score points on Donald Trump, and I just feel like that only opened up the sore and opened up the wound even more. Donald Trump probably was very inarticulate. He probably thought he was doing a good job, and he was screwing it up, royally. I agree. Just, you know what? Help the family heal. Going on TV and scoring points, that's a bad look. For that, you deserve some cactus. But don't eat it all. Save some for John Kelly for Lion.
I gotta ask you this though. Do you think that she was trying to score points, or do you think that she was honestly standing up for Maisha Johnson?
She was trying to score points. Nobody except for the Johnson family and Trump's team knew what the contents of that phone conversation were. And she could have said, if she thought
Frederica Wilson was in the car.
Right. I'm saying nobody, and I'm put her, when I first opened this up, I said she's part of that family unit.
Right.
So if she thought this, the smart thing to do, instead of creating a whole extra controversy, was to write a letter to the president, get in touch with the president and say, Mr. President, dude, we don't agree. And certainly I have advocated for you to be impeached. But I can tell you that this widow is hurting, and she understood your words to mean such and such. I think there's an opportunity for you to make a second phone call where you can clarify this with her and give her the comfort that you tried to give her. And let that be that. And if he said, no, I'm not doing it, then you say, okay, no problem. Then you can blast. But she went out there to make a name for herself.
Well, you know what, Maynard? And you know what, Maynard? I'm gonna tell you who else is a beneficiary that I don't think, if she would have done that, and I don't think this was part of her goal, but those kids, I think the last time I checked, because I'm not gonna front, I gave like $50, but the GoFundMe account is almost at $1 million, man, for those babies. And I think that if she didn't do what she did, those babies wouldn't benefit from that. And I don't think just this whole scenario, a light would have been shined on. Basically, she kind of did check Donald and his crew in a way. Like, you should do it a different kind of way. So I'm again, I don't know if she scored points or if what it was, but I think that there's benefit all the way around. And like you said, that widow is hurting. She got a baby in her stomach, bro. Like the stress that she's feeling right now is going to that little person that's living inside of her. So I hear you, I get it, but I just totally disagree. Totally.
I agree with you, Lamont, and I agree with you, Maynard. I think that I don't know if I think that Frederica Wilson was trying to get points. That's the part I have a question mark on. Now, to your point, Maynard, could she have handled that in a different way? The way I looked at it, and you can correct me because you're the political genius here. The way I looked at it was, here's a grieving mom. I heard you on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am not a genius.
Yes, you're right. Absolutely correct. You are not a genius, man. You're
right.
Okay. So anyway, so here's Frederica Wilson. No, in the car. Donald Trump calls somebody McNeil. No, right. But he called Staff Sergeant McNeil, right?
Right.
Staff Sergeant McNeil. This is what Maisha said. Maisha said that she asked him to put him on the speakerphone, and then she began to start, talk. And then that's when the comment came out. Now, I agree with you I don't see, and this is the problem with the media, that sometimes the media only takes one small part of the clip or of the situation and run with it. I just cannot see Donald Trump only saying that and running with it. The sad part about it is that he just has such a bad history of being insensitive that I can see where here's an opportunity for Frederica to run with it. So that's the unfortunate part about Donald Trump. But I cannot see him being that insensitive, calling 3 other people getting it right, and this one girl he got it wrong on. That part I cannot see. I looked at it as, okay, he was being insensitive. Unconsciously, because he just doesn't know any better, unfortunately. And he was trying to say what General Kelly told him to say, because what General Kelly, and this is where I want you to expand, because General Kelly said in his press conference at the White House or whatever, President Trump came to him, asked him what to say. he said, listen, this is what you need to say, that, soldiers, they know what they signed up for, blah, 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 blah. He was with the band of his brothers, all that other stuff. And that's true, right? When you're a soldier and you're going into missions and you're going into battle like that, you kind of know what you're signing up for. You know what the consequences in that situation is. If he would have said it like General Kelly said it, I don't think I would have a problem with it. And he might have. And unfortunately, Frederica Wilson might have just took that one small part and ran with it. I just feel like she was trying to stand up for the woman because she's a voiceless individual with 5 kids. No, let me not.
But
take,
why did no?
Not 5 kids.
She has 2 children.
She has 2 kids
one on the way.
and one on the way. I'm thinking of the Natasha girl who has 5 kids. Sorry. And I just think that she was saying, that Maisha was devastated by his comments. She felt offended, as she said today on Good Morning American, because she didn't want to say anything to him. And Frederica Wilson came and said, girl, I'm going to stand up for you. And that was wrong, and he did it the wrong way.
And you know what, Spud? But you know what? Hold up, man. And here's where Spud is right as well. If you really pay attention to the interview, and again, this was with all due respect, you saw the fear on that young lady's face when she was doing that interview, and you can tell. And I always mess his name up, Stopanopoulos, whatever his name was.
George Stephanopoulos.
Yeah, you can tell that George was trying to. He was kind of coaching her, helping her a little bit. You know what I mean? Because she was frightened and she knew that, like, this is something way bigger than she probably experienced. And if you look at the transcript, because she put some words in some places that it should have been some other words in some other places. And that's fine. She'd been through a traumatic space. But I'm with you on that, Spud. I feel like that congresswoman was like, yo, this is one of my people. And you're not going to mess over my people like that.
And you know what? All of that's great. All of that's great. And if Lamont, if I came at one of your people and I said something to one of your people, what would you do? You would get on the phone to me, or you would get eye to eye with me, right?
At least you know where he stands, man.
It
all depends, man.
If I came at one of your people and they were in a weakened status, and I said something to them, or I said something to them to further their pain, you would check me. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I think we're on a different stage than what they're on.
Hold on, my man.
Okay,
the answer is, would you check me? Yes or no? And the question and the response to that is, Frederica didn't check the president. She ran to TV.
But that was her way of checking him, player.
Yo, she could.
But Donald would have ran to Twitter to, that's how he checked Colin Kaepernick. Right? On Twitter.
So we know that, but we listen again, because you know what? You've taught me this, Lamont. You've taught me. You drilled this in my head. When they go low, we go high. You, Frederica, are responsible to this family in so many ways. One way is you've been there for them. You're a comforter. You're a confidant. You're the kind of person that they rely on. You know what you should do? You should say, hey, you know what? Don't worry about this. We're going to get to the bottom of this. I don't want you to worry about this. We don't need to have this thing hang over your head. We need to get your husband buried. We need to get this family's son in the ground. We need to give this family an opportunity to heal. I'm going to have a conversation with Trump. And keep that thing in the background. But then it became a whole national TV thing for extra 4 or 5 days, and all that could do is keep the turmoil and the tumult alive. That family didn't need that extra turmoil.
Just you know who you sound like, Maynard?
What's that? Who?
You sound like Greg, the dude that's on the 5 on Fox News. That's what you sound like, bro. You sound like Greg right now. I am really appalled that you are giving this congresswoman from the great city of Miami, right?
The Mad Hatter.
The Mad Hatter, a.k.a. home of Doodoo Brown, a.k.a. home of what is it? Live, Sundays at Live, a.k.a. I forgot the name of the big strip club that's in Miami.
Can we just get down?
King of Diamonds. Come on, Maynard.
So you say, hold on, let me ask this. What? Never mind, man. Y'all, I knew y'all wouldn't see it. I knew y'all wouldn't understand it.
I do understand it. And I'm glad that you articulated it that way. Because I didn't see it that way in the beginning. I did not consider her getting points. I felt like she was standing up for a pregnant woman who has never been in this situation before, who does not know how to handle a president, who was devastated by his insensitivity and inconsideration on a comment. Now, I do side with you on the fact that they probably took this one small thing, which is, hey, you knew what he was signing up for and ran with it. Going back to General Kelly's statement, if he would stick to script, and if he would have said it the way that General Kelly said it, which was, listen, we know what we stand, we know what we do when we go to the Army. We know what we're getting into. We are with men who love us. We are, protecting our country. If he would have said that entire thing, I really wouldn't have had a problem with it. The unfortunate part about Donald is that he just doesn't know how to stick to script, and he doesn't know how to articulate it in that way. So that's where I feel like he's kind of getting a bad rap. Now, to your point, man, where I can see where you see that. Especially for Frederica to say, you know what, let this boy go. Let him stay low. We know he's an imbecile. We know he's stupid. We're going to go high on this one. As much as we really would love, that really should actually come from the commander-in-chief as well. He should have been able to say, you know what, listen, I am sorry that this thing has been taken way to the left and blown out of proportion. And you know what? I am sorry that if Miss Johnson took my words to be insensitive and inconsiderate, and you know what? I want to apologize to her. And he didn't even have to even address, Frederica Wilson. I want to apologize to her. I did not mean any harm. I didn't mean anything, by my comments. What I was trying to say was, and say what he was trying to say. And this all could go away. But I see your point.
Right. It all could go away. It all could. You're right. And you're right. You both are right. It all could go away. Donald Trump could handle it on the back end even better. You're right. All I'm saying is, who threw the first punch, right? Certainly, I got to be the person to step up and say, hey, let's stop fighting. And, we ain't going to get nowhere with this. But we still need to know who threw the first punch. And were you truly justified in throwing that punch? Could you have just went high?
But you know what, Maynard? And if you go back to the timeline with the Congresswoman, she was quiet for a couple of days. And you know what I believe? I believe that there was a little huddle. I don't think she did it all by herself. I believe that there were some other Congress people, maybe some other people in the Senate on the Democratic side that said, we got a hole in the matrix. This is how we can exploit it, and we can make this hole a little bit bigger. And then all of a sudden she popped up.
In addition to that, in regards to throwing the first punch, she actually kind of counterpunched, because Trump actually threw the first punch when he said, I call families and no other president calls families. No, the Obama administration didn't call no families. I'm the one that's calling families, and that was a lie. So I'm sure that sparked some more drama in this situation where he should have just, Donald Trump, shh.com. That's the website you need to log on to, www.shh.com. Less is more, my man. Less is more in this situation, because unfortunately, it's hard for us to be able to believe Donald Trump in this scenario because of all of the things that he's done in the past. And he has an unfortunate history of lying, being inconsiderate, trolling people on Twitter. I mean, but I can see how, Frederica is getting some points. She's getting her 15 minutes of fame right now. I was listening to, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Let me back up, Lamont, over this one. Now, according to the timeline, Donald Trump called either on the 16th of October or the 17th of October. Okay. Frederica Wilson came out on the 17th of October with her allegations about this phone call.
Exactly.
So it wasn't no, I'm just saying.
I'm saying when she came out with it, there still was a couple of days that was lagging when we didn't see the lady with the hat in terms of interviews and things of that nature.
Frederica Wilson is her name.
I know, but we love those hats. Come on now. We cannot get away from the cowboy hats, man. That's her signature. So all I'm saying is that she was quiet for a couple of days. It was a couple.
No. On the 17th of October, she revealed to various news outlets that she overheard Trump tell the widow that her late husband knew what he signed up for. Also talking about scoring points, various news outlets, she went to various. Now, the phone call between the family and Donald Trump, according to the timeline I'm looking at, occurred on the 16th. So it wasn't a couple of days. She got that information. She ran with that.
Right, but you still not hearing what I'm saying, man. And we'll leave it at this. I understand what you're saying, but in terms of the full court,
word on you, he getting the last word on you.
What I'm saying in terms of the
full, you ain't gonna let him get that last word on you, are you, man? You ain't gonna let him get the last word.
She didn't come out with it like she's on it now because she knows she's doing all of the press runs. She had to wait till Sunday to make sure she was on there with the Rev and everybody else, and just basically do the press run to point her finger at Donald like, you're not going to talk to my people like that.
Yo, she was on TV almost every day last week, my dude. Sunday. If you only saw her on Sunday, then you missed a week, homie.
So, man, is this Trump's Benghazi though?
No, it's not. And the reason why it's not that this isn't salacious. It's not that this isn't a scandal. It's that with the Republicans running the House and the Senate, unless something changes in 2018, there won't be the types of hearings that are the Benghazi hearings. There won't be the types of, we need to know. They chased Hillary Clinton about Benghazi. She had left office, been gone for 4 years. They were talking about it up until November 6th. And then after she lost, they were like, oh, we finished talking about Benghazi.
You still talking about Benghazi? We been talking about that.
We stopped talking about that, a couple days. As soon as that last vote got counted, as soon as that daggone Wisconsin went the wrong way, Benghazi was a done deal, homie. We forgot all about that.
Yeah, man.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Two things I'm gonna do this year for y'all, man. Spud, you my man, and for Christmas I'm gonna get you another little fresh bottle of Bumpcology. And Lamont,
it's been working for me.
It's been working for you. That's what's up. And Lamont, you my man as well. And I feel like I'm gonna hit you off with 3 weeks of DJ class. I'm gonna get you a little. I like to see you get on the wheels. How do you feel about that, Lamont?
Why you don't get no Bumpcology though?
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I've been trying to hold tight, player, but I got some issues in some private places, Playboy, and I'm trying to get tightened up. You know what I'm saying?
Wait,
full stop. No, about that. That don't sound like Bumpcology. You sound like a doctor to fix that.
That sponsor does not want to be associated with some issues you have in private.
Especially if you can't fit your big self in a dress. We don't.
But so Spud, you've been still having good results, right?
I have, man. It's funny. My wife actually even said, your face is really cleaning up. And I was like, I honestly think it's the Bumpcology. I don't have, typically, when I go to the barbershop, I used to have to, I had to stop telling them to put the little razor thing on me because it would make my face itch. But now, when I put the Bumpcology on, I don't have when my beard grows back, I have no issues with my face. It's not itching. It's growing back fuller. I might actually be able to grow a beard now because the serum, I think, is really, like Tiffany said, diving deep or going deeper into my skin, and it's actually eliminating not just, the ingrown hairs, but like the pimples and, the blackheads and all that stuff. It's actually giving me some cleaner skin, so I'm not mad at Bump. I recommend Bumpcology. I'm actually giving Tiffany, a W on the Bumpcology. I'm actually down with it, man. I know you went to the barbershop and the back of your head, you was getting those beady beads at the back of your head, and I know you was putting the Bumpcology back there. Are you getting some results in the back of your head from, Bumpcology?
Am I getting some results in the back of my head? Let me say, so I had to go to a good friend of mine's 50th birthday party this past Saturday. And so Friday night, I ran to this barber who I know I can always get in to see him. And he is excellent. I call it the boys in the hood cut because his clippers are rough. He cleans you up real tight, right? And that's usually when I get the bumps. And so what my regimen has been since starting with Bumpcology is, I use it not necessarily daily, but I use it as needed. And particularly because it's like on my hairline, I get in the shower, shampoo, whatever the case may be, and then I'll apply some Bumpcology. That's great. Then I get that haircut. I'll do the same thing. I'll wash my hair one more time and I'll put that Bumpcology on. And I'm rocking like this really nice tight haircut. And I was afraid that on Saturday I was going to get to the party and I was going to look like I had a whole bunch of bumps on my neck and on the side of my face. And you know what I'm saying? I'm pleased to say, I'm happy to announce I'm bump free, baby. I'm bump free. My swag was on point. People were like, "Oh, it's so good to see you. You really look good. You look so young. You look so healthy." Some people said I was looking fat, and that's okay too. I mean, it's good living. It's good living. But the bumps aren't there. And I'm feeling like, you know what I'm saying? It definitely gave me an extra level of confidence because, a lot of times I wear like a high collar shirt just so I don't have, the bumps or whatever on the back of my neck show through. It's embarrassing.
Not a good
and
looking.
The Bumpcology is working.
Shout out to Tiffany, man. Bumpcology.com. Grab yourself a bottle. It definitely is a good look. We're not just saying it because, Tiffany is one of our sponsors, but we're saying it because we are actually using the product and it actually is working for us. Ladies, it actually works for you as well. If you have any issues in your bikini area, just like Lamont does, you can apply Bumpcology to your bikini area and it will help with the ingrown hairs. It's not alcohol. It is a serum. Alcohol dries your skin out. Just like, Maynard eats all that bacon and all those unnecessary foods. Stop putting that drama in your food. I even can go with Wendy's. We don't even mess with frozen food. We only mess with Wendy's because they got fresh food. Stop putting all that frozen food in your body. Same thing with Bumpcology. Don't put that alcohol on your body and dry out your skin. Put a serum on your skin so that way it goes deeper. And that way you can actually get rid of the ingrown hairs in your bikini line. It also works for men as well. Bumpcology.com.
Lamont, you want a bottle? Lamont, you need a bottle, right?
Yo, my dude, my bikini area, I didn't really call it that, but since we throwing it out there, bro.
It is your bikini.
Yeah. I made a mistake.
I just want to say Bumpcology, don't fix that. Bumpcology, don't fix that.
I made a mistake. You were saying we out, and I went and opened this damn door with Lamont, and here he go talking about his bikini. Now I can't unsee that right now. I'm you know what I'm saying? Oh my God, I'm gonna go to bed, and I got to think about. I need a drink. Go ahead, take us out of here again, Spud.
We out of here. We'll get with y'all again next Tuesday for another episode of Three Black Guys with the Mic. Log on to the website, be down with it. Grab yourself a t-shirt. We actually got some Wendy's coupons coming as well. So stay with us. Go to bumpcology.com. Grab yourself a bottle. Let everybody know. Spread the word. We growing around here. Three Black Guys with the Mic. 3blackguyswiththemic.com. We'll see you again next Tuesday right here for another episode. Today is the day to treat yourself and not cheat yourself. I'm talking about Wendy's 4 for $4. We talk about getting yourself fresh food in your body, not frozen food, fresh food in your body. That is what it's all about. Eating good, eating juicy, eating healthy. Not all that frozen food. Putting all that frozen food in your body, not a good look for you. So grab yourself a Wendy's 4 for $4. A choice of a junior bacon cheeseburger or a crispy chicken BLT. Plus 4-piece nuggets, small fry, and a drink. All for only $4. It's always fresh, never frozen at a participating Wendy's for a limited time. Offer not valid in Alaska and Hawaii. Now, back to the show.